It's now time for us to move to the public comment period of the agenda this evening. This is a time set aside by the council to hear from citizens. It's not a requirement that the topic be on the agenda. It can be on any subject. We ask you to hold your comments to about 3 minutes. There's a light bar on the podium. It's green when you begin. It's amber when there's 30 seconds remaining, and red when time has expired. Since we do tape these meetings, state your name and where you reside. I don't need the exact street address, but for example, Heidi Walker, Tacoma, Washington, and we can get that on the record. If you're representing a group this evening, it would be helpful if you would identify the members in the audience who are in the group, and they can yield time so that we can provide that speaker for the organization up to 10 minutes rather than 3. And the first individual and I should point out that the council, during the public comment period, this is not an interrogatory, meaning the council is not going to engage in question and answer period with public comment period. We will certainly take note of all the comments that are made here this evening. And the first individual who signed up to speak to the council is Mr. William Hubbard.
Good evening. My name is William Hubbard. I'm a resident of Tillicum and also own commercial property on Union Avenue. My comments are in reference to yesterday's article in the News Tribune by our city manager. He stated the current gate location was not acceptable. It needed to be moved to accommodate the new I-5 interchange at Berkeley-Madigan. But he did not provide the complete story. The current gate will still remain open to allow commercial traffic to enter Camp Murray. This is to keep the big trucks off Portland Avenue. But when the interchange is completed and the gate is actually gone, where will the trucks entering Camp Murray go? Down Portland Avenue. That is the only place they can go, so nothing has changed from last year concerning the moving of the gate, except the city is to receive $1.2 million and build a roundabout at Portland and Boundary. I get the feeling $1.2 million is not going to be enough to come close to the cost. It is too soon to do anything. The new interchange cannot be built until the I-5 traffic problem is solved, and that is years away. No one has any money to add lanes to I-5 in the near future. Therefore, no new interchange in the near future. Leave the gate where it is until we know what is going to happen. Thank you.
Bryant Grider.
Hello, my name is Bryant Grider. I live in Tillicum, Washington, and I would first like to thank you for allowing me to give First, I want to thank you for allowing me to have the time to talk about what is happening right now. I recently turned 16 and have earned my driver's license. I live at Eagles Point, 1/10 of a mile away from where Camp Murray wants to relocate its main entrance. When I want to leave Tillicum, I avoid the Berkeley exit where Camp Murray's current main gate is located because of the congestion and ill-tempered drivers stuck in that mess. That intersection can be difficult, stressful, and can even be stressful for new and experienced drivers. Moving the gate next to my house, bringing that gridlock right outside my driveway where children ride bikes, and directly into quiet side roads where I drive and leave Tillicum. Please do not allow Camp Murray to relocate its main gate into a residential community where children play and make it difficult for new drivers like myself to get out of my neighborhood. Thank you for your time.
Well done, Bryant. Jennifer Justice.
Hello, City Council members and members of the Tillicum neighborhood. My name is Jennifer Justice, and I live in Tillicum also. And with all due respect to Camp Murray and the state's emergency management department, I would like to also hope that you deny access of Camp Murray to the public streets in the residential area. I live on Portland Avenue Southwest, one of the main areas that will be directly impacted. The current traffic continues to increase as more and more of the soldiers choose to cut through our neighborhoods. The traffic calming measures that are proposed with the $1.2 million amount that they're offering to help with this will not calm those traffic. Traffic will continue to increase. If the gate moves to Portland, traffic will increase beyond what is now currently, and what models what the current traffic models indicate. There's no resolution to this topic unless the state allocates the funding to fix the interchange. Moving the problem from Berkeley and Union farther into a residential area is no fix. It will only create danger and increase problems on our brand new wonderful streets. It makes me feel that the City Council is forcing the issue or allowing the issue to be forced to open up the area for higher density living. I hope that's not the case. If you think this is a depressed area now, wait till this happens. It's going to become far more depressed. I urge you to continue blocking the access of Camp Murray to the residential areas of Tillicum. Thank you.
Mr. Dennery, you have a question mark? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, for having this comment period. Moving Camp Murray's gate to the southwest terminus of Portland Avenue is not in the best interests of Tillicum. Doing this would impose traffic conditions that the narrow streets are not able to accommodate. Relocation of the main gate to the proposed Portland Avenue location buried deep within a residential neighborhood also seems contrary to the needs of an adequate gate site for a military establishment such as Camp Murray. Camp Murray's gate problems would be moved from the present site and imposed on an area zoned residential, not commercial. To mitigate the traffic problems on Portland Avenue thus incurred, the city is planning a roundabout and speed calming devices, sort of speed bumps, and a free right turn for traffic departing the camp. The intent is to direct traffic away from Portland Avenue by making it less passable. Hence the free right turn onto Berkeley. This right turn would direct traffic back to Union, where the present problem exists. The plan may not work. Actually, the objective of many of the vehicles leaving Murray is a right-of-way to I-5 afforded by Thorn Lane. After the free right turn onto Berkeley is the opportunity for a left turn onto Grant Avenue and then a left turn off of Grant to Spruce or Lake and then onto Portland and finally Thorn Lane, thereby avoiding the speed bumps. Unless the speed bumps were really bad, most drivers would stay on Portland to gain the advantage of Thorn Lane. At heavy traffic times, most drivers will avoid Union and Berkeley. The residents of Tillicum who regularly travel Portland Avenue will be treated to bumps 24/7 and traffic backups on Thorn perhaps 3 times a day. The better solution is to leave the gate where it is and await the future renovating of I-5. If Camp Murray asks the DOT, they may get their own gate, especially their own exit, especially if they mention the need presented to the Washington State Emergency Operations Center located on the premises. The city of Lakewood should turn down the camp's gate relocation request based on the fact that the area is zoned residential. Thank you.
Maureen, I'm having a difficult time reading your last name. Okay. My arms aren't quite as long as they should be. Mr. Pat O'Brien. Or was Janet going to speak, Pat? Okay, you got your orders now, okay. Wise man.
Good evening. My name is Pat O'Brien. I'm a Tillicum resident also. There's 3 things I'd like to talk to the council about. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on a fine study presentation showing us the streaming on exit 122. I thought that was well done and it was easy to follow. On the other hand, I want the same kind of study done for 123. I failed to see anything in the presentations that the city made to us about exit 123. An observation even as late as this afternoon, Thorn Lane is a rural quarter-mile road with no improvements at all. No sidewalks, no shoulders. We have bushes encroaching on the street. It's kind of like the Wild West. It was a road that was put in there in the early 40s. And I saw, typical of teenagers coming from the Woodbrook area, they were going back to the park, or going from the park back to Woodbrook. They don't walk single file down the road. They walk 4 abreast, sometimes 5, pushing a bicycle. I can only vision what that would look like with another couple thousand cars connecting, going down that lane. We can hardly accommodate the traffic that now goes down there. So I think we need some serious mitigation in that area. And the last thing I'd urge you to do, council members, is take a vote on this. I know the staff has the right to do what they want, make decisions, but I think this is important enough that we need to know where you stand. Before this is all said and done, I would urge you to be sure to take a vote. Thank you.
Mr. Brian Dennery.
I'm Brian Dennery. I'm a resident of Tillicum. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and residents of Tillicum. I'm glad to see the numbers are here tonight that we thought were going to be here, and I hope that the City Council takes into consideration that these are caring people, and there's a lot of other caring people that couldn't make it tonight because they're still running their businesses. let's get to the problem of businesses on Union Avenue. A couple of days ago, I went down Union Avenue and talked to all the merchants in that area. I was lucky because I'm partially fluent in Korean, not fluent in anything else except for Japanese. But most of the businesses on Union Avenue are Korean businesses, okay? And there are some other minority businesses. I'd like to impress upon the council that these are the fine citizens that have come out or come into the United States to make a living, to make a life for themselves, and they are all minority. There's not too many majority businesses out there. It's all minority businesses. These folks were never contacted, that I can find out, by the city representatives to explain to them what is going to happen on Union Avenue. My goodness. We're supposed to be helping minorities nowadays. We're supposed to be working with minorities so that they can better themselves, so they can fix up their businesses on the outside so they look halfway decent. Again, these folks didn't have a real understanding, except they said, oh, this is happening again in our area. It happened last year, didn't it? Yes, it did, okay? Well, I'm really ashamed of the city of Lakewood. Maybe I'm wrong, but, you know, I think it would have taken just a little bit of effort and taken a little bit of time to go to these people and explain to them what's going on. They're running their businesses. Most of these are mom and pop outfits. They can't leave their businesses to go to a meeting. So let's go to them. Let's talk to them and see what's going to happen, and let them decide, you know. Tonight there isn't a good showing of them because it's 7 o'clock. They're still serving dinners. They're still running their embroidery shops and so on and so forth. Okay. To send traffic, as my father said before, to send traffic down Berkeley Avenue, you're not eliminating anything. Portland Avenue will be highly traveled. Speed bumps won't detour traffic. Thorn at Union is still going to be a mess. Okay? Portland Avenue, high usage, is used by children. The children, there's a school in that area, as you probably are all well aware. There's a lot of folks, a lot of children that go to school and have to cross the streets. And they also use the youth center and the park. So I really, with all this traffic out there, I really don't want to put children's lives at stake. I have some other things to say, but I'm going to get off here because it turned red. But anyway, I thank you for your letting me come up and explain to you how the small businesses and everything in the local area are. And remember, they pay the salaries through taxes. Thank you.
Ms. Warren, you didn't check yes or no, so... Did you wish to speak? Oh, okay. You don't want to speak then? Okay, well then, please do. Ms. Warren, Sharon Warren.
My name is Sharon Warren, and I live in Eagle Point in Tillicum. I'm here tonight because of my concerns about the roundabout proposed to be built on Boundary. There's about 55 homes in Eagle Point, and frankly, in the early morning hours at peak traffic times in the day and in the morning and afternoon, I don't see how any of us are going to be getting out of Eagle Point, because how can you merge into a roundabout if the traffic's bumper to bumper getting into the gate? So I'm basically like everyone else. I think the traffic situation will be made worse if the gate's moved. Thank you.
Ms. Storr, you indicated you were uncertain.
Yes, I decided to continue the points that I was going to discuss after the
Okay.
They're very important.
Thank you. Ms. Jan Merriman.
Hello, my name is Jan Merriman, and I live in the Tillicum area, and I wanted to discuss the proposed Camp Murray gate relocation. And I wanted to let people know that I purchased my house about 3 years ago based on Lakewood's commitment to the Tillicum neighborhood plan. I am now invested in this neighborhood, and I feel Lakewood would be walking away from their investment if they follow through on this proposed gate relocation. The majority of us are saying not in our backyard because we know our backyard very well. Please listen to us. We are a unique neighborhood, from the 2 I-5 interchanges that act as our only way on or off our island, to the streets throughout Tillicum that were never meant to be a thoroughfare. All 4 of the major streets, Thorne, Portland, Berkeley, and Union, each have their own unique congestion issues. The neighborhood lacks infrastructure, and even with the mitigations discussed, the roads will be grossly inadequate for the 4,000 additional vehicle trips. Moving the gate to Portland boundary makes no sense. Routing the camp's personnel through the neighborhood streets will pose safety issues no matter how much mitigation is done. Eagle Point residents and the apartment dwellers next to them have only one way in or out of their homes. What happens when there is an emergency and they are blocked in? What about emergency vehicles needing to get to their boats? Tillicum residents want to assure safety for all, for residents, for business owners, and for Camp Murray personnel. This is why most of us have suggested other options for the gate. How does this gate relocation fit into the Tillicum neighborhood plan to benefit its residents? Will investors want to go full speed ahead with building businesses and housing if property values decline due to the increased commuter traffic within Tillicum? What's the benefit for Lakewood? If I had known that the city of Lakewood would be allowing the gate to be moved within the neighborhood, I would have never invested in a house in Tillicum. Thank you.
Mr. Paul Wagaman.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for Paul Wagaman, City of Lakewood. And as a representative on the Citizens Transportation Committee, I would like to add my thoughts, and I don't speak for that committee, but I do speak as a member, as a citizen, and as a member of that committee. The real problem here is I-5, and I think that's been pointed out already, and so the question is how do we fix that? Is there anything we can do? And I think there's some comments worthy of merit here. I think the city did a good job this time compared to a year ago. They've been leading the charge here. I think Mr. Buer and Mr. Nidus have done a good job of trying to put a plan together. Now, the downside of some of that planning is it was done in confidence, and so people think that the city was sneaking around. So that could be perceived as that. But when it was finally announced to us on the Citizens Transportation Committee, they brought 3 committees together and briefed us on what was happening. And so if you look at it from a pure technical point of view, you could say, hey, it's not an unreasonable plan. Because the real problem, though, is out on I-5. And so you have to do something to try and say, hey, can we do something that meets the needs of everyone? As I listened to that and looked at that, I said, phew, it's not bad, but it's not perfect either. And so when I had an opportunity to sit in the Tillicum Advisory Committee meeting, I listened to what the citizens had to say. And I think that's what weighed it for me, to try and do something now that doesn't solve the problem 100%. It doesn't give the capability that we really want to relieve the problem out on I-5. So who has to pay the price of that? The citizens of Tillicum. And so what we have to do is, I think at this point in time, we really need to listen to what the citizens want. Yes, we can, and I have to compliment again the city. They've done a good study. Mr. O'Brien said that. They can mitigate a lot of the problems, and I think they listened to the citizens from last year, because the citizens said, hey, we really don't want traffic going down Portland Avenue. And the solution they proposed, the speed bumps, are certainly going to stop people from going down there, and they're going to try and route them another way. But when everything gets crowded, moving is better than stopped. And so people will go over the speed bumps at that point in time. And so I think that's a legitimate concern from our citizens. So if I was king for the day, my recommendation would be to leave the status quo as is for the present time. And again, compliment and thank the city for doing a good job of researching this, and compliment everybody for what they've done at this point in time, including the citizens. Thank you.
Mr. David Anderson.
I received a call from King 5 TV at 3 o'clock asking how many people we thought we would have here. I gave them a number based upon how warm it was and where I was standing along the shoreline. It was 80 degrees. I said, it's not going to happen. But Tillicum proved us wrong. Thank you for coming. There are 3 critical failures of Camp Murray's plan just 10 months ago as enumerated by city staff. 1, the need was not established. There was no substantiation that the current gate location was patently unsafe. There was no evidence of any impact the proposed gate relocation would have on I-5. Convenience was judged to be the impetus of moving the gate, not the need. Number 2, alternatives were not thoroughly vetted. Benefits totally accrue to Camp Murray, while the impacts upon the surrounding residential area were basically ignored. What relocating the gate does remove is any leverage Camp Murray might otherwise have upon the real need, the reconstruction of the interchange. Sharing a gate with JBLM, declared Camp Murray, quoting, would require additional Camp Murray personnel and consequently additional costs, end quote. More than one city staff has admitted JBLM and Camp Murray are not willing to negotiate the use of a gate that already exists between them. Number 3, there was, quote, absolutely no recognition of the relationship to the Tillicum residential neighborhood, specifically its viability, livability, character, and property values, end quote. All were unaddressed. Camp Murray's plan was deemed, quote, thoroughly insufficient in that it focuses on the installation itself and not the racial, economic, ethnic diversity, and lower income demographics of Tillicum, end quote. It is thus very inconceivable, unbelievable, frankly, that speed bumps and directional arrows in a roundabout that would accompany a $5 million gate relocation would somehow compensate for the viability, livability, character, and property values of our neighborhood. What is needed is, first of all, a full review of all matters concerning the I-5 interchange, since Camp Murray is the Washington State Emergency Operations Center, and because of this, Camp Murray should have a dedicated I-5 improved interchange access. Second, the hurried Camp Murray relocation plan should be set aside pending an I-5 corridor study. Third, city, county, state, and federal representatives should withhold financial and administrative support until those criteria are met.
Mr. Anthony Truxell.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm Dr. Anthony Truxell, and I live on off of Thorn Lane, quite close to exit 123. I'd like to add my voice to the opposition to relocation of the gate. I believe that moving the gate merely moves the traffic problem downstream. It makes no sense to me. You're moving it from an interchange that's inadequate to an interchange that's even more inadequate. I feel as though you add to this the uncertainty that the Amtrak movement of the passenger trains across Thorn Lane and the proposed cross-base highway dumping traffic onto I-5 at Thorn Lane, it makes it even more unbelievable that we would be moving all the traffic, or a majority of the traffic, from Camp Murray down Portland Avenue and onto the Thorn Lane exit. When I was coming home tonight around 6 o'clock or so, I turned and the traffic was backed up at least 2/3 of the way down Thorn Lane and probably that far down Union Avenue. And that's before this change has even occurred. So with the change which is proposed, I can't imagine how far the traffic is going to be backed up at that point, how congested that's going to be. So I think that this is one of these situations where it seems that things are moving ahead a little too fast. I think that although studies have been done, I don't think an adequate study has been done that looks at the impact that it's going to have on exit 123. So I would certainly recommend and would support a delay in the process until such time as exit 123 can be upgraded to a point where it can handle the extra load. Thank you.
Mr. Jim Charbonneau.
I'm Jim Charbonneau, a 50-year resident, 52-year resident now, I guess, of Lakewood. I serve on the Park Board, Advisory Board, and the Redevelopment Advisory Board. I got involved in Lakewood about 6 years ago because at something similar to this, nobody gets involved until we've spent all this money to start a study and then plans go forward and then people get involved. It's not about, someone's got to be first. I-5, I hope to see I-5 changed in my lifetime. That gate will be moved. Where it goes, who knows? But it's going to go somewhere. I leave that to the professionals, and our staff has done an excellent job in looking at this. I think they've done a good job in getting the development fees that we can get our share of it, because that's what happens when you do development. Somebody pays for the infrastructure. The only way we're going to improve the infrastructure out there is with the help of the state or the federal government. Our city doesn't have the money. All of the residents of Lakewood now are paying for the sewers in Tillicum. I've heard comments that no one else cares about Tillicum. No one else in Lakewood cares about Tillicum, but that's not true. Tillicum is part of Lakewood. I, more than anything, want to see us work towards getting an access road from Thorn Lane to Gravely Lake Drive so that the residents of Tillicum are more connected to Lakewood. I have to believe that the roundabout at the Log Center at exit 123 will eliminate some of that traffic that backlogs on 123 now. If they do move this gate, everyone's got to remember that they're going to stuff 50 or 60 cars. They're moving the gate. The staging area will be on the base instead of out on the public road. So they're going to stack those cars up on the base. So the roundabout should not be backed up. They're the professionals, not us. It's never good for everybody. But at some point, somebody's got to say, we got to move forward. We got to make a change. People talk about this gate between Fort Lewis and the Camp Murray. They're two different entities. If something happens, we want our state militia to have access to their base. We don't, if they shut down Fort Lewis like we've seen done in the last 10 years, nobody gets on. Essential personnel. That's it. And so that gate back there, that's just a freebie thing going on right now. I wouldn't count on that forever. They're two different agencies. You shouldn't expect them to open that gate and put the gate behind the base. It has to be on that front side. I'm not for or against. It's a tough decision that the city has to make, but I have faith in our city that they'll make the right decision, and I'm sorry that it can't appease everybody, but at some point, someone's got to take the first step in making some changes, and I'm glad to see our city willing to do that.
Mr. Nick Iverson. Hang on a second. Excuse me, Nick, I can't hear you. Say again? I'm going to wait. I concur with Mr. Anderson and Dr. Stark. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. Mr. Tony Gibbon.
My name is Tony Gibbon. I own the Chevron station in Tillicum, and I'd like to thank the City Council for taking the time to talk to us, some of my friends and neighbors, especially Dave, a good customer, and more importantly, a good friend. Speaking on behalf of my business and other businesses along Union Avenue, I'd like to see the gate stay where it is. We have a lot of customers and a lot of patrons come from Camp Murray, and we need that business. Business is tough these days. You come down, you might see a bunch of cars around, but the expenses are so high, and I've been on that corner for 36 years, October 1st. We need that business. I really don't want to see it over JBLM, North Fort. That would take a lot of business away. And I really hope that you don't continue to encourage the folks at Camp Murray to relocate over to the log center. They're talking about 400 people. We'd lose a lot of business, a lot of our customers. I don't like the idea of Portland Avenue, but it seems a lesser of two evils. I do think a lot of those customers are still, those people are still going to come right down Berkeley and right out Union Avenue. I do like the idea of putting in an extra lane on Berkeley, putting an extra lane over on Union Avenue. I think that'll facilitate that intersection a lot better. But it's not going to solve it. Nothing's going to solve it until there's that whole intersection is redone and that bridge is redone. But my first choice would be leave the gate where it is, but if you have to do something, I like the Portland Avenue change better. Thank you.
Mr. Ken Sevier.
Ken Sevier, citizen of Lakewood, and I'm not fond of what's happening in Tillicum, but that's not what I want to talk about. I just want to mention on page 24 of the voucher packet that we're putting about, let's see, about $18,000 into one police vehicle for replacing an engine and rewiring it, and it looks like from the letters that there might be some warranty work covering that, but I hate to see the city pay $18,000 to work on a vehicle and not get reimbursed. I just want to bring that to the attention of the city council. That's a chunk of change. Last time I put an engine in the vehicle was about a little over $4,000. $14,000 seems like a lot of money to put into a police vehicle. Thank you much.
Mr. Bob Holden.
Thank you for letting me speak, Mr. Mayor and Council. I have nothing prepared, so this is just from my heart. My wife and I and our family moved to Tillicum in the Thornwood area about 8 years ago, just so we could be a little bit closer to the lake. Not on the lake, but closer to the lake. We left behind a lovely home, brand new home basically, that we just built, so that we could live there. And then I noticed that our taxes just kept going up and up and up. And now I look at the old house and I look at this one, and I'm paying 3 times as much in taxes just to be closer to the lake. I work at PLU, which means I get up every morning and get onto Thorn Lane and take exit 123. There's some mornings where it's just a mess right now with no additional cars. And I can't fathom for the life of me how you're going to get more cars in and out of there than what's going through right now. You can only get so much water through a straw. And you're asking us to take on hundreds of gallons of new water, and I just don't see this happening. So I would just like to say, don't do this. It doesn't make any sense. There's got to be another way to get the traffic off of Murray and onto I-5. But please don't put it through our neighborhoods, because if our property values go down any farther, and they will if this happens, we're sunk. Thank you.
Ms. Schrader, did you wish to speak? Okay.
Good evening. I'm Maurice Shader. I've lived on Thorn Lane for 30 years. The talk centered on Portland Avenue, I think, is really misleading. Any redirection of traffic from the Berkeley I-5 exit will involve North Thorn Lane, as it is actually the street that connects Portland and all the other West Tillicum streets to I-5 on the north side. There are only two exits to Tillicum and entrances, one at Berkeley and one at Thorn Lane. I haven't heard one mention in any study of any improvements for Thorn Lane, which comprises about 30% of the distance of this proposed traffic revision. It currently has no turn lanes, no sidewalks, and no shoulder in many places, especially at the last turn, which is a direct, just right-angle turn that goes up past Union Avenue and onto the freeway. The only streetlight in that area is at the entrance to the freeway on the railroad tracks. There's no streetlight at Union, and it is within half a block of that and too close to put another streetlight. It has room only for 3 cars. Okay? 3 cars. In addition, it's the residents' only possible exit out of the area, and the emergency services, as we mentioned, only possible way in. It hasn't been resurfaced for decades, and it's possibly not even an adequate roadbed for this much traffic. I think that should go into your study. It's used by many pedestrians and bicycles and lots of children going to Harry Todd Park. So, has Lakewood budgeted for resurfacing North Thorn Lane, especially the part that's coming right off the freeway that is now full of potholes? I mean, like a washboard. Have they thought about traffic patrols, sidewalks, turn lanes, and picking up all the garbage that's going to result from this? Oops. Anyway, this could become a really very expensive little residential street for Thorn Lane, the Thorn Lane part. And it is a quarter mile at least. So I think, at the very least, if $1.2 million is going to be such an incentive to the city of Lakewood, then every single penny of that should be spent in Tillicum trying to protect the citizens and the children that use those streets. And that's only fair. Thank you.
Mr. Rick Patterson.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, thank you for the opportunity for me to provide some comments on the gate proposal. I am the Director of Public Affairs for the Washington Military Department at Camp Murray. I'd like to begin by stating that the City of Lakewood, the Tillicum neighborhood, and the Military Department employees all share a common concern for the safety and viability of the community of Tillicum. We share that. We're there every day. We share it. As neighbors, we know that problems are shared as well, and the problems that affect the traffic congestion and the things that are of concern to the community of Tillicum affect and concern us every day as we come to work. In this case, the traffic issues and the proposed move of the main gate it's very complex. It's been a difficult and challenging exercise for the city staff and for the staff at Camp Murray. And it's going to come at some expense to all of us to get it corrected. The city and the Camp Murray staff have developed a very solid working relationship and have invested a lot of time looking at all of the options. They put a lot of energy into reviewing many, many options, and it's been a very taxing process for all of us. As you know, a very comprehensive study confirmed that the options were few. It also confirmed that leaving the gate where it currently exists is not a reasonable option. The staff, working with very practical data, have developed the best possible solution. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe you have much of the detail already provided by your staff, and we're very encouraged with the proposal that our staffs have worked out and developed, and we look forward to working very collaboratively with the city and the community. Thank you.
Mr. Jim Taylor. You're the last individual that signed up to speak this evening. Okay. Well, hold on, Jim. Yes, sir. Just, I could have overlooked it, Robert.
Yeah, I have a moment. Okay.
Please go ahead. If there's anyone else who wishes to speak tonight who didn't sign up, or if your blind mayor didn't see the yes, you could just queue up behind Mr. Shader, and we'll certainly be glad to hear.
Yeah, my name is Bob. Is it okay now? Yeah, Bob Shader. I've lived in the community for 30 years. It seems to me this, well, first of all, I should say that this is all kind of new to me. The gentleman who preceded me made extensive reference to numerous expensive and detailed studies. I didn't even see so much as a poster on a telephone pole or any mailing to my house about these studies. So I think at least some of us in the community need to be better informed as to what these alternatives are and what the extreme importance of this relocation that requires moving a major additional amount of traffic through an important, well-established, and rather fragile residential community. Many of us who live in Lakewood tend to take for granted the wonderful amenities we enjoy. The lovely lakes, the trees, beautiful fir trees, Gary oaks. And this is a fragile area. We have the major highway in the state going right beside the town. There's very little space between I-5 and American Lake. There are creeks that run through there. There's wildlife, eagles. And I think in a significant environmental study should be prepared, environmental impact report, to determine the damage that's going to be caused by this relocation, as well as the additional rail and freeway interchange projects that are planned. In addition, there's safety. I spent over an hour at one intersection at the Maple and Portland intersection just to count the pedestrian traffic crossing Portland Avenue. Between 5 and 6 last Thursday, I counted 43 people crossing the street. Almost half of them were children under 12 unaccompanied. They were traveling with bikes, with baseball bats, with pets. They were distracted. On one side of Portland, there's the attractions of the lake and the beach. There's a very fine park. And on the other side, there's an elementary school. On both sides, there are convenience stores and homes. I don't think sufficient credit has been given to the needs and safety of these children. And in addition, I think someone should discuss the fact that this rather precipitous action continues the long history that Tillicum has not enjoyed of being disregarded and cavalierly treated by Pierce County and the city of Lakewood. Thank you.
Good evening. I didn't sign up to speak, but I would like to say something. And even though I am a resident of Tillicum, and I agree with say, I would like to speak as a transportation person who has driven for 20 years, a lot of those years through Tillicum, and more as an observer. I see the traffic, and I agree of all the problems with the traffic in Tillicum, but I see the major problem with the gate at Camp Murray is your railroad, your two-way lanes down Berkeley, and a lot of people wanting to get out, going to the right on the freeway. I believe that if you had, and I think the best place to, we would like to have answers, because he says there's no way the gate can stay where it is. I think we should have the answer to why. We're not hearing the answer to why. The second thing is, if I would say you have to reconstruct and make all those problems, there is that Moss Lane area in Tillicum that could be bought out. It seems to me, just looking, that that should be something that should be scoped out to put your roundabout there on Moss Lane, buy it out, take that second lane and have 2 lanes exiting on Berkeley. So you'd have 3 lanes, 2 lanes going out, that which would be east, and 1 especially just to go on the freeway southbound. And then you have your problem with that light over there that passes over the railroad track. And you have the 4-way stop. You have people that don't know who's supposed to go next. That makes the light click again. So if you could put different kinds of a sensor on that light so that the people coming, maybe you could have even like a turn light signal from the base gate going out, so a lot of the traffic doesn't back up in Camp Murray, and then that would maybe even avoid a lot of people cutting through Tillicum to back up that traffic. But those are things that I think are serious enough that would alleviate a lot of spending and alleviate the problem in a more viable way to eliminate the problem that citizens are discussing with the children and the traffic that way. And I think that should be a calming problem and a win-all solution for everybody. Just something to consider. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, I just need your name for the record.
My name is Sandra Devatori, and I live in Tillicum.
Thank you.
Thank you. Queued up properly.
Yes, you did.
My name's Robin McClyman. I'm a resident of Tillicum. Thank you for the opportunity to get on the list. I wanted to just again express my concern from a health perspective. I'm a physical therapist, a professional that is concerned about the community's health. Lakewood, what is Lakewood's identity? I remember coming to one of these meetings and you guys were trying to get more people to move here and kind of looking at maybe a little bit more tourism, and I think the biggest asset you have are the lakes. And we have beautiful bald eagles right there on Lakewood, and I don't know that anybody has really given it much thought that the current proposal to move the gate will be taking down a lot of trees. And it's taking down trees in an area where the noise pollution from I-5 will cut straight to the lake.
I-5 noise. Have you ever noticed how sound carries so much over water? That would bring more noise all the way across American Lake into Lakewood. Not to mention the light pollution. Oh yeah, more cars, more exhaust. I love what you guys have done with bringing in the sewer because we have sidewalks. There's even a section there with bike lanes. This makes me want to get out and walk. And all of Tillicum, even the City of Lakewood residents, I would hope that you're doing things with the parks and rec and whatnot, the wonderful programs you have, to promote health and community access, viability. And Tillicum is starting to take pride because we have sidewalks, a few bike lanes, and we have the wonderful park and the lake. Moving Murray's Gate deeper will destroy all this and will have a profound effect on our community, Lakewood, not just Tillicum. So please think about the sign you have right there on Thorn Lane as you turn. I noticed just this evening it said, "Your city working for you." You. Your city. So please listen to us. I really think that there needs to be more research, and even bringing in the traffic deeper onto their property. Why not do that at the current location? Why can't they take a road right in deeper there to handle more of their traffic without bringing traffic into our community? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Abby Henning, and I live in Tillicum. And about 6 years ago, we moved into Tillicum from University Place. And quite frankly, Tillicum was pretty scary. And I had no plans of really getting to know anyone there. We were just going to move onto the lake and put a big gate up and just drive through and not eat at the teriyaki places. I mean, it was scary. I'm just really proud of what the city has done. I mean, in the 6 years, I mean, it's just very beautiful. But while we were living there, we lived in this little house while we were building our house, and the front door opened onto the street. And so we just started meeting more and more of our neighbors. And since then, I mean, we've just loved the Tillicum residents, and we're very proud of them. And there's a lot of residents there that can't speak for themselves, a lot of low income, and so I feel like a lot of the people here are representing the low income families that are there, usually single parent families. And there's the youth and family center that's there that is just, a block from Portland, which is going to be, involved in a lot of that traffic. And also someone had mentioned that walking over into Thorn Lane, a lot of kids live in Woodbrook, and the only way they can get back and forth is to walk, and the road's not wide enough for that. So I just feel like I'm here to represent the families as well that aren't here, and also the school, the elementary school. A lot of kids don't have parent supervision, so they're walking home from Tillicum Elementary on their own, and they would have to cross over Portland. And the other point I wanted to bring out is all the emissions and all the gases and everything that come out of, more vehicles being on the road. And people had mentioned eagles, and I'm mentioning the children, and so I'm just wondering if there was an eagle's nest right there where the roundabout is proposed, would we still be doing it? Or would the eagle get, the right to live on that tree? So I would just like you to think of the children as well. Thank you.
Tom James in Tillicum, and I want to thank the City Council for all the work they've done to make Tillicum a better place to live. The amount of effort, the money, the dedication, it really goes way beyond what most communities could expect. But here recently, the city council approved the Tillicum neighborhood plan. I don't remember that being the Tillicum urban development plan. I saw nothing in there that said there'd be warehouses or 4,300 cars coming down the streets of Berkeley and coming down Portland. There was no mitigation for that. In fact, last year when we had a hearing on this, Desiree from the Public Works Department, when asked at the Tillicum meeting, is Portland designed for that kind of traffic? The answer was absolutely no. It is not designed to be an arterial. It is designed to be a residential street. We are looking to do redevelopment. I'm pleased to have been appointed to the redevelopment board. We have our first developer in Tillicum, Habitat for Humanity. They were at our Tillicum Action Committee meeting last week. And when I asked them, I said, how do you like Portland being now an arterial with 900 cars in the morning and 900 cars in the evening going down Portland? The answer was, I don't. And it was a frown with that. If we're looking to redevelop Tillicum, you can't take Portland and make it an arterial and ask developers to come in and put up new housing and apartments and developments that are supposed to be a neighborhood. It really makes no sense at all, and it really takes the plan and really makes it sort of worthless. So I would ask that this be deferred, tied into the I-5 interchange at 122, kick the can down the street, let the government work it all out in due time, but don't hurt us in Tillicum and don't hurt our future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Neil Holden. I have a home on Silcox Island. My family has had the home there since 1960. So I've been enjoying Tillicum since I was a very small child. But I would have to say I agree with what we've heard most people say here tonight, and that is it really is an improving community from what I've known in the past, and I would really hate to see that additional traffic heading down Portland, and especially the impact towards Thorne, but primarily just the quiet enjoyment of the community that is one of the attractions of it, and I think that's one of the reasons it has really seen a vast improvement lately, because people do recognize the qualities of Tillicum, and that really would harm the great progress that we've seen up to this point. So I would urge you not to allow this to happen. Thank you.
Mr. James Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Richardson, members of the council, staff. I'm Jim Taylor. I live in Tillicum, and I'm chairman of the Tillicum Action Committee, which we have been dealing with this Camp Murray Gate issue for quite some time, as you all know. I asked to speak last night for a couple of reasons. One being, this is an opportunity for the community as a whole to have their say, and for the council to be able to hear them. And I have to say at this time that I agree with everything that's been said here this evening. There is been probably 25 to 50 or more reasons put forth as to why this moving of the Camp Murray Gate to Portland Avenue is a bad idea, period. I think you've probably heard this before, but this gives us our opportunity to speak further on it, and we want to thank you for that opportunity. Each one of these concerns is credible, and there's probably a lot more that people would come up with that are also credible, and so I would like to ask you to, we know you've listened, to please consider and take into consideration what we have all said here this evening about the moving of this gate. It's a big move, and it's been said earlier that there's a lot to be considered, but
being a lifelong resident of the community of Tillicum, I think Tillicum, we have been heard, and so please consider us and our thoughts on this, because it's very important to the survival of this community. There's a lot of fear of the people in Tillicum right now that if this happens, the community is just over in a few years will just kind of disappear. And I don't think you all want that, and I know we don't want it. So we want to cooperate to what we can, but we are really, as you can see from what you've heard this evening, the scales have tipped to one direction, and that's not to move the Camp Mary Gate to Portland Avenue, and in fact, leave it where it is, at least for the time being. I know a lot of people did speak tonight, and but a lot of people did not speak, so if you don't mind, I would like to ask that everybody that is here tonight on this Camp Mary issue to please stand, please, so the council can recognize how many are here. Thank you very much. I think you see that that's a pretty outstanding turnout for a community of our size, but the subject is very critical to all of us. So again, thank you for listening, and we hope that we can work this out.
Is there anyone else in the audience this evening that wishes to address the City Council during this public comment period on any subject? Well, thank you all very much for coming out here this evening and speaking to the City Council. We appreciate it very much. And I have to tell you that I've been on the council for a couple of days, about 15 years, and this is probably the most, what's the word I'm searching for? Not professional, but the most thoughtful public hearing I've probably participated in 15 years. Particularly the manner and tenor of the comments that were made by everyone this evening, and everyone's being very respectful of the other's position and point of view, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you all for coming. And with that, I will declare the public comment period closed.